All right, so thanks so much for joining our presentation. We're going to be talking about easy video editing on your Windows laptop. There is a sneaky way to edit videos if you have a Windows laptop or a Surface tablet or basically just about any sort of computer type device that has Windows 10 on it. You're going to be able to do this with something that you already have that you may have not even realized that you had. So that's what we're going to be talking about during this session and how it can support you and your students in your classroom. There'll be lots of chat, lots of discussion about that. My name is Matt Miller. I'm the author of 4 books, including Ditch That Textbook and the newly published Tech Like a Pirate. Taught high school Spanish for more than 10 years here in very rural West Central Indiana, and now get to support teachers through presentations and writing and podcasts and all sorts of good stuff like that. And I get to talk to you today about creating video, which I'm very excited about. So this presentation is part of the Global EdTech Academy, which is sponsored by Microsoft and Q. So there are all of these presentations every single week, pretty much every single day, really, with educators that are sharing what they've been doing and what you could be doing when it comes to teaching in general, teaching with Microsoft products. Sometimes they just talk about teaching while Microsoft products are being used. And the best place to find that is to go to this link up here on the screen. That's q.org/Microsoft is the place to go. And when you go to that page, it looks kind of like this. And then if you come up here to the top right, you're going to see the main buttons for the site, and that includes schedule. Schedule is where you click to go find all of the other sessions that are going on, including the join links, like you probably did on this video if you're joining us live. And then you've also got this session videos button, which is super helpful because we record so many of these presentations and then we upload them to a YouTube channel where you can go watch all of the replays. And there are lots and lots of replays up there already. So anyway, if you haven't gone and really checked out q.org/Microsoft, which is the home base of the Global EdTech Academy, it's definitely worth your time, I think. So I wanted to let you in on a little secret. This may be a secret to you anyway, something that you may not have known about. I know when I first heard about this, maybe a year ago or so, this really surprised me. And it was the fact that you can get onto your Windows device, and down in the bottom left-hand corner, you have the Windows button, right? And right next to the Windows button, there's a little search bar. And someone was telling me if you type video editor into that search bar, there is a video editing tool already built into Microsoft Windows, which I had no idea. I was a big user, and I'm curious to see if anybody else used this. If you did, I'd love to see it, or even if you didn't, I'd love to see it in the chat, okay? But I was a big user of Windows Movie Maker. I really liked Windows Movie Maker years ago when I first had a Windows laptop and I was working in the classroom. And I used Windows Movie Maker for a lot of things. We did time-lapse videos in my class. I made some instructional videos. I did a variety of things with Windows Movie Maker, and I loved it. And then I couldn't find it anymore. And so to be able to find this was really, really cool, I thought. So, and so this video editor app that is available through Windows is really pretty powerful, and it's really easy to use. There's an awful lot that you can do. In fact, as a point of comparison, I use a more powerful video editing program to edit my own videos sometimes. And I would say that of the features that I use the most on that more powerful one, I would say maybe 75–80% of the features that are on that I really like are available in the Windows video editor app. And so that's what we're going to be looking at today is what some of the features are and how you can use it. And then this more important question, what can we do with it? Like as educators, what can we do with it? So anyway, with that all said, I'm going to jump right on over to Windows Movie Maker. No, not Windows Movie Maker. Did I really just say that? This is Video Editor. It used to be Movie Maker. See, I got started talking about Movie Maker and it just messed me up. So, so once you do that, let me show you how I did it earlier. Remember, I used the search button, the search bar over here. And so when you type there, we type in Video Editor. You can see it's right there and you can click on it. Now I've already started a new project. There's a little button whenever you open it that says start a new project, and you just click on that and you get started. But once you get started, this is kind of what the screen looks like. And so basically what you've got is over here on the right, you have a preview pane where you can watch your video. You've also got the project library. This is important, and this is where all of your pictures and videos that you want to drag in go. And then you've got the storyboard down here, and this shows what your video is going to look like piece by piece by piece. And then, of course, you can kind of move things around on that storyboard as necessary. And so I've already started throwing some things in here so that we can see what it looks like. So I have found this to be a really nice tool. Before we dig into the features of it, I have found this to be a really nice tool for creating videos for students to watch. Now, as the presentation goes along, I'd love for those of you watching live to be thinking about how you could potentially use this in your classroom. Like if you made videos that your students could watch, how could that be useful? We're going to have kind of a little discussion about that later after we get through some of the features of this. But really the reason that I wanted to share this program with you is because I think it's easy to use and it's pretty powerful. So, so let's start taking a look at how it works. So I would start out up here in the top left with the project library. The project library, again, is where all of your videos and your images come in that you want to use. And when you click on this add button, you'll notice that you can pick things from your PC. If you have made collections of your own media, you can pull them together right there. And then you also have the ability to add things from the web as well. So we can click this from the web, and of course that's going to pull in things that are labeled as Creative Commons images that we have the license to use. And that's what that looks like. But really what I've been doing a lot of is recording my own videos, which you can do, by the way, by just simply using the camera app on your Windows device. That's an easy way for you to just record your face. So, I'll click on the camera app, and then you can see, oh, I need to flip that around. There it is right there. And see. Okay, so it's not going to let me use the camera app. You get the idea, though, that you're able to record the camera app there, and then you can pull that recording into your project library. Another thing that I wanted to share with you real quick, if we want to create videos that we can put into here, is a way for you to record your screen. Now, believe it or not, there's something built into Windows that will let you record your screen as well. And then once you have those recordings, you can add them to your project library right here. And so that's called, I'm going to use the search here, and I'm going to search for game bar. This is another thing that's kind of hidden behind the scenes that sometimes people don't realize is there. And so it's called the Xbox game bar. Remember, Xbox is owned by Microsoft. And so they have this game bar built into a lot of Windows devices. And as long as your school has not banned the use of it, if they haven't, I'm going to switch my screen real quick so that you can see. As long as they haven't, game bar? No, that's not it. Let's try it one more time. As long as they haven't blocked it, taken it off of your device, then you should be able to use it. There's what game bar looks like. Hopefully you can see it. Now, you'll see in game bar that there's a lot of stuff on here that you do not need. But really the most important part is this button right here, which is the recording button. And so what you can do with game bar is you can click this record button and it'll start recording your screen. And then whenever you're done, you can stop the recording and then you can pull it into the project library of your video that you're creating in the video editor that we're looking at. Okay, so we're going to switch back over to the video editor. So hopefully that wasn't too much all at once, but the reason I shared all of that first was because when it comes to the project library part, there are lots of places you can get videos. There are lots of places you can get videos, and sometimes it means recording with your own camera, and sometimes it could be recording with the game bar or whatever. I'm seeing a comment from Kim saying that my screen is pixelating. That's what I was saying earlier, that I live in a rural area where my internet sometimes is kind of hit and miss. And if you have trouble seeing my screen, I can try to describe things on my screen as best as I can, but it's probably what we've got is what we've got. So so my apologies if the screen ends up pixelating a little bit. And it makes it hard to see things. Okay. So once we grab a bunch of videos and pull them into the project library, in this case, I pulled mine in from my PC. What I grabbed was I took a whole bunch of videos from a hiking trip that I went on recently to the Rocky Mountains. And so, I just pulled a whole bunch of videos and images from that in. So once those are there, we can start using those and dragging them into our storyboard. And you can see how that kind of looks. We just kind of click and drag things in. And then you can make it, if you want to be able to see your images a little bit more clearly, you can use this tile where it's only 2 wide. Or if you want to see lots of them, then you click this one. And then you're able to see multiple all at once. Okay, so once you get down to the storyboard, there's a variety of things that you can do here. So imagine if you were making instructional videos that you wanted to share with your students. One thing that might be nice to have on it is to have a title at the beginning so that the students know what the video is about before you start. And so that's where you can hit the Add Title Card button. Now you'll notice it's called a title card, which makes you think that it should be the title at the beginning. But you can actually add as many of these title cards as you want. So if you want to use them almost like transitions in between video clips, you can definitely do that. I'm going to delete this one right here. Okay, so when you click on this, if I click play, you'll see that it just pops it up right there, and then it goes into the next video. Now, if you want to be able to edit it, the easiest way to do that is just to right-click it, and then go to edit the text or edit the background. So see, with the text, I could come up here to the text and I could make it Rocky Mountain National Park hiking trip, which is what the videos are that I have. They also have some animated text that you can pull in. So I could use this right here. See, it's nice that they've got some things that are kind of made for this. And then we can, of course, look at the layout and see there it's centered. We can put it up kind of in the top to the side. Now, the reason I think that people like to do these up to the top and over to the side is that another thing you can do is you can right click and you can edit the background. Now see, with the background, you can pick, just about any color that you want here. So, I could customize it a little bit more. You can even pick a custom color if you want to. And then we can go back and we can edit the text as well with this little tab right up here. Okay, so we get our title slide all in place the way that we want. And then we can get into some of our pictures and videos. Now, there's one other thing that you may notice on the title slide, and that's this little 3 down here. That's the duration. So how long do we want this to appear? This says that it's 3 seconds. And so if we watch the video, if we click play on the video from the beginning, this is what I like to do a lot of times, is I'll actually play it, and then I'll just see if I'm able to read everything that's in the text myself to get a feel for if the duration is long enough. And another thing to think about is if you've got a decent amount of text on the screen, if you read it, remember that you're familiar with the text and you're probably likely to read it faster. So you might want to add a little bit of extra time if you're making something for students or for someone else that has a whole bunch of text on it. Then, that way they're not going, oh man, I didn't get through that fast enough. I mean, of course they could go rewind it or pause it or something, but a lot of times people don't do that. Okay, so we move on to the images. If we want to add images in here. Now, here's kind of a cool thing about the images is that we can take photos if we want to, but we can also create our own custom images if we want to, and then leave those on the screen as long as we want. Now, believe it or not, one of my favorite tools for creating custom images is PowerPoint. So what I might do, in fact, let me show you an example. I did a whole presentation that you can find in the Global EdTech Academy. I did a whole presentation about creating infographics with, let's see if I can find the one that is the infographic. I don't think that I saved it. Is this it? Yeah, that's it. This was a little dummy infographic that I made during a session that I did about how to use PowerPoint to create infographics. So, obviously this one right here doesn't make a bit of sense because I just threw a whole bunch of stuff in it. But imagine if you wanted to create a graphic that had some information on it and you wanted to put that on the screen for students to be able to see during your video. This is all just made of insert shapes, and that's just a circle. These are all icons, which you can get by going to insert icons. And so this is an icon, and this is an icon, and these are all icons. And then this little speech bubble here is just insert a shape, and you come down to the call outs, and that's all that is. So you could create something like this, and then go to File, and we're going to save a copy. And instead of saving it as a PowerPoint, we're going to save it as an image file. This is a PNG file. And so we can save it. We hit save, and then it's going to ask us, what slides do you want to export? You want to say just this one, just the one that you had highlighted. It's going to save it as an image. And so we just saved that image right there, and then watch this. We're able to add it from the PC, and all we've got to do is go find it. So the big question is, where did I save it? I think it might be in the downloads. Nope. Okay, let's pretend that this one is the one that we just did. And see, now we can take this and we can drag it into our presentation too. And so if you want to create some of those custom graphics for yourself to put into your video, that's my big suggestion right there, is make that graphic in a PowerPoint slide and then just go File, Save a Copy, and then just save it as an image file instead of a PowerPoint file. So that's another way that you can take your videos and kind of kick them up a notch, so to speak. Yeah. So there's that. And then, of course, if you've got a lot of text on the screen like you have with this infographic, you can click on the duration and you can change the duration to longer. So it could be, we could keep it up there for like 10 seconds or something. Okay. Now, the other thing that's cool is if you have this image right here, if you have some images and you want to be able to overlay some text on them, you're able to do that. See, if we come over here, we have this image clicked on right here. And I remember from our hike that this was a hike to a place called Finch Lake in Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado, here in the United States. And so if I wanted to overlay some text saying where we were, all I have to do is just click the text button. And now it looks a lot like what we had before, right? I could type in Finch Lake. Now notice we have all of these layouts up here. And it could be the look that I'm looking for to just put it right over the top of the image. But in this case, I think I want to put it down to the side like this so that the image back behind is more visible. See, I could put it off to the side like this, but then I'm cutting somebody off. So we're going to hit OK here. And now we've got that where it says Finch Lake. So that's kind of cool. Here's another thing that you can do with your images that's really nice is that you can use the camera to kind of pan across the image. And when I was talking about using a different video editing tool, you know, kind of a more high-powered, sophisticated, expensive video editing tool, this is one of the features that it has that I didn't expect the free Microsoft Video Editor to have, but it's got it, which is really nice. And that is this motion capability. So if we click on the motion, we can see that we have a variety of different types of zoom. One is that we can zoom into the center. So you can see how it does a slow zoom like that. We can also zoom out from the center. So it starts there, and then we're able to zoom back. Or we can pan left, so we start over here and then it moves to the right. We can tilt down, and so it goes down like that, which gives it a little bit of motion. It's not just a static image. It's not just sitting there. And so if we're wanting to put images into our videos, this is a way to make it so that it's not just flat images sitting there. It makes it a little bit more dynamic. And then on top of that, of course, you've got filters. And you've got some 3D effects. In fact, I already threw a 3D effect on top of this one, and that was this, this live thing. And so you can see whenever you hit play, it blinks on there as if it's saying that it's like live video, right? And there's actually a little sound effect. I can hear it in my earbuds. I don't think that you can probably hear it, but that's one of the different kinds of effects that you've got. And here are a whole bunch of them. The nice thing about video editors is that it does have a lot of these already built in, so you don't have to go try to find them or anything. So there's that. And then you've also got your 3D library, which includes a whole bunch of the augmented reality, sort of the augmented reality toolbox that you get that comes with Windows as well. Looks like it's taken my computer a little while to load those, but you can see some of the types of things that are in there that you can add. So that gives you kind of an idea of what that looks like. Okay, so we talked about images. Let's talk about videos for just a second. So let's say, for instance, that you take a video of yourself, you know, using your camera to record yourself talking, or you use the game bar to record your screen and you do a screen recording. You're able to pull it into your project library up here, and then you pull it down into your storyboard so that it's actually part of your video. So let's say this was a 1:45-second clip of you talking about something and doing a demo on your screen. I'm sorry, wait, that is, yeah, that is 1:45 seconds. Okay, so what can we do with that? So there's a variety of things that we can do. One is, of course, we can trim. So if we decide that, you know, this is the part where I'm looking at the video, and I realized that there was too much at the beginning where you can't see them hiking. This, by the way, if you're curious about this whole trip, this was a hiking trip I went on. My brother-in-law pulls it together every year, and we take, well, I say we, this is the first year I've done it, but this year we took about a dozen high school boys out to Rocky Mountain National Park who live here in Indiana. And in Indiana, we're far enough away from these mountains in Colorado that they never get to see anything like that. So it was kind of a neat, special trip that they got to go on. And of course, me being the, you know, photography and video fanatic that I am. I'm not great at it, but I love it. I took a whole bunch of. So this is the part that lets me look at my video, and then I can trim. And so let's say I'm looking at this and I'm going, oh, we don't need it until about there. So I can take this and I can trim off the beginning, which of course makes it shorter. And so it shows that I just trimmed 41 seconds off that video, thank goodness. And so I hit done, and now that video, instead of being 1 minute and 43 seconds or whatever it was, is now just 1 minute and 4. So being able to trim is nice. Another thing that's nice is being able to split. Now, here's where this can be really helpful to you, especially if you're making instructional videos or something for your students. Let's say that you recorded like 10 minutes of video that you wanted to share with your students. The reality is that if they have to sit there and watch 10 minutes of you start to finish without any sort of interruptions or anything to help them process the information that they're getting, it can be a lot for them to do. But you can take those videos that you can take that 1 10-minute video and you can split it up. So if you have a natural pause in between certain things, guess what? You can take that video. Let's say this is a video where you're talking and you get about halfway through and you switch topics. So notice the first video is 32 seconds. The second video is 31 seconds. I hit, and now that video is clipped into 2 things. So let's say you had a longer video where you were talking about 3 different subjects. If during the recording of that video, if you will pause for about that long, that gives you a chance to cut it, split it with the split tool that we just used, and then add a title card. So notice how we can put a title card right in between both of those things. So remember, this was all one video. If it was one video with 2 parts, I could cut it in half. I can cut it at the logical place where you can cut it. And then I can throw in titles, which is nice. I'm seeing a question from Jennifer. Can we close caption the video? I don't think that the closed captioning comes inside of Video Editor. Although, let's see. I don't think that Video Editor has a way to do captions. Although, in a lot of the video hosting tools that we've got, like YouTube, for instance, if you're using Microsoft and Microsoft Stream will do this, they will auto-generate captions for you. Now, we know that auto-generated captions are not the best captions. That's for sure. However, what you could do if you wanted to was on each of these videos. Now, let's see. I'm trying to think of a way that we can make this work. You could cut up the videos into very small chunks, and then you could insert text on them. Let's go back to classic so that we don't have all of the extra stuff. And you could say, here is some text, and then see, this could be the part of you, of whatever it says, here is some text, this could be what you're saying. And so if you had like a 2-minute video and you did, okay, burned in captions on screen are not accessible. Okay, in that case, I don't know how to help you on that one. What you can do is you can take the video once it's processed, and you can submit it to some place that will do the captions for you, or however you do captions. Once it's done, I think you can do that. I'm not sure what to tell you on that one. YouTube auto captions are easy to edit, Jennifer says. Okay, very good. So once it's done, you can always throw it in and you can edit those auto captions. Thank you for your question, by the way. Okay, so when it comes to the videos, we talked about how we can split it up and how that can be helpful, right? And how we can add text and everything. Here's another thing that's kind of cool is that if you have a video and you want to speed it up or slow it down, if you want to put it in slow motion or if you want to put it in fast motion, it's built in right here. And so we're going to look at this. Let's look at this video that I've got real quick. This is just a video that I took where I clipped my GoPro to the outside of our car so that you could kind of see this drive that we had. And you'll notice if we speed it up, it kind of makes it a little bit more interesting of a video. So what if we were able to speed that video up? We could click on the speed here and we can make it go like 8 times faster. And of course that shrinks the size of the video, right? It took that video all the way down to 3.2 seconds. It made it go by really fast, right? And let me show you another, whenever you use a couple of these things together, notice I hit undo so that it would change it back to 25 seconds. This is another neat feature that you can use when you put a couple of these things together. And so we're going to use the split tool. So let's open it up with the split tool and let's take we're going to have about 6 seconds, maybe more like 5 seconds at the beginning, where the video goes at regular speed. And so notice I took that video and I split the first 5 seconds off of it. Now I'm going to use the split tool again, and I'm going to leave the last 5 seconds on the end, which is to 15 right there. And so notice that video, I just split it 3 times. Now if we come over here and play it, you'll notice that you can't even see the split. See, it just jumped from one clip to the other and it's still rolling just the way that it was. So what I can do now is I can take all 3 of these video clips and I could do something different to each one. So for this one, for instance, I could take the speed and I could speed it up to 4x. And so now it's a lot shorter. So now watch what happens when I play this. 1, 2, 3, and it's going to start going fast. Right. Seconds, and then it slows down. So this is where you can use some of those tools to, kind of together to create different what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like different features within the same video, which is nice. So I could see if I was doing instructional videos and I was doing a video of myself working on the board, for instance, like on a whiteboard or a chalkboard or something, and I've got a video kind of pointing at myself, and then at some point I turn around and I'm writing. If I don't want the students to have to sit there and watch me write, I could split it right before I start writing, and I could split it right as I finish writing, and I could take that part and I could take the speed and I could speed it up to 4x or 8x, and it'll make that a lot shorter, and it'll make my hand, writing furiously like this instead of just writing at the normal speed. So there's lots of ways that you can use this to make better instructional videos, I think. Okay, so we've got all of these videos now. We've got these images. We've learned how to use our title cards. Another thing I wanted to show you real quick was background music. And so if you want to have some background music in your video, now one thing you want to be careful of, since we're talking about, Jennifer mentioned accessibility earlier, and one thing you want to be careful of when you do background music is you want to make sure that your background music is not so loud that if you're talking that it makes it hard for your viewers to be able to understand you. And so I can click on this background music, and what's nice about these tracks is that they are created so that I can use them in my video and we have the rights to be able to use them. So no copyright or anything that we have to worry about. Like, I can hear it. That's kind of like a rock song. So if we wanted to use that, we can click on this. The volume, we can change the volume. So in this case, we'll bring it all the way down to 15%. Now check this out. Sync your video to the music's beat. This is kind of a neat thing. If it works out with the stuff that you have, like for instance, if you have images, it's able to switch things based on the beat that goes in the music, because Microsoft has a whole bunch of analytics about these songs. And so if we click that and we hit done, then it's able to adjust, and you can see how it changed some of the lengths of things to match the beat of the music. So that's kind of cool. So I hit play here. Well, it's kind of hard for, it'd be hard for you to be able to hear because again, it's coming through here. But you're able to change the background music, which is nice. And then if you want to create your own, add your own custom audio, this is a place where you can do it. So for instance, if you have images and you know, different stuff on your video and you want to have a narration over the top of it, this is how you can record that part. So you can record it. I would use a tool like Audacity. Audacity is a favorite of mine. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick so that you can see it. Search for Audacity real quick. There it is right there. Free open source cross-platform audio. This is a program that you can download onto your laptop. There's a wide variety of tools that you can use to be able to record audio like this, but this is one that I like, and you can download it for free for Windows, for Mac, you know, for a variety of different platforms. And so you can save your narration as an MP3 file. So what I would do if I had Audacity up, and this is kind of what it looks like, and here are all the buttons at the top, I would click on the record button, and then while I was recording, I would hit play on my video, and then while the video is playing, I would narrate. So I would know when all the transitions happen, you know, and then when I was done, I would switch back to Audacity and I would stop it. And then that way I can take that MP3 file and I can stick it in there, and then the narration will match up with all of the transitions and everything. So lots of different ways that you can use that. Okay. So there's that. Now we're getting down to kind of the end of this. Once we have everything the way that we want, actually there's one thing I wanted to show you real quick that we hadn't looked at. I'm going to grab a picture here and I'm going to click the filters button. The filters kind of is like the filters that you would see on a tool like Instagram or some of the image editing apps, you know. And so you're able to put that colored cast over the top of it and make it look the way that you want to. And so, and there's even a pixel one right there. So if you want it to look a certain way, you can go through all of these, find one that is perfect for you, and then hit done. And then that's another feature that they've got. I can't remember if you can do that for videos or not. I think, yep, looks like you can. You can even put those filters on for your videos as well. So, okay. When it comes to making instructional videos for your students, the next part is kind of an important part, because once we're totally done and we have everything the way that we want on our storyboard, and let's say we've pulled it back to the beginning and we've clicked play and we're watching the video and we have it exactly how we want, it's time to finish the video, because the way that it is right now is not shareable for the students. We have to export it to a video file. And a lot of times those video files we export it to are MP4 files. And so I'm going to click Finish Video. Now here's an important dialog box that just popped up on my screen that if you're creating videos, especially in a remote learning environment, this is really important. See, I told you earlier that my I live out in a very rural part of Indiana, and my internet connection is not always the best. Some of you have seen that through some of the pixelization that's happening. Some days are better than others. Today's not the best day. But what I found is whenever my 3 kids are on their devices and all 3 of them are trying to do remote learning work, especially if they're trying to watch videos at the same time, it's tough whenever we have lots of high definition videos trying to run through one internet access point at my house on an internet connection that's not so great. So if you're doing any sort of remote learning, this part right here that we've got up on the screen is an important thing to think about. See, I could render my video in high definition, 1080p, high def video. I can make it like that, or I can make it down to low, the smallest file size. Now there's a couple things to think about when it comes to this. If you make it low and it's 540p. 540p is like standard definition. It's kind of like what's on a normal, not so impressive. And when you do that, it makes the smallest file size. And when you have a small file size, it makes it easy for students to download if they have to download the video. Or if they have to stream it, it makes it easier for their device to stream it without buffering. So for me, in the school district where we live, there are lots of kids that either don't have access to internet or they have access to slow internet. So being able to create video that's at the lower definition, which makes a smaller file size and makes it more accessible to them. So that's something that you might want to consider. Now, with, for instance, an image like this that has a whole bunch of text on it, because we've got this infographic up here, 10 online ways to build student relationships, and it's got lots of text on it. If I shift down to low definition, if I go down to 540p, the problem is that it might make it just pixely enough that you can't read the text. So if you have lots of small text on your video, you might want to consider a higher definition video type. Or let me go a whole different direction on this. If you have a whole bunch of small text on your video, you might consider making, kind of shifting between that text throughout the video. So for instance, with this infographic, instead of having all 10 of them on the screen all at once, I might pull one of them out and write that text in bigger text and then talk about it for a little bit, and then go on to the second one and have that text on the screen, kind of like this, only smaller and at the bottom, and then talk about that and then move on. So instead of putting it all up there all at once, a whole bunch of text in small characters, I could do a little piece of text in big characters, talk about it, and then move on to the next one. That's a better way to do it. And then that would also mean that we could finish our video in the smallest. So we hit export here. And then once we hit export and we save our video, it's basically going to save it as that MP4 file, and then we're done. And then what's nice about that, I come off of my screen and go back to my camera here. What's nice about that is that then we have that video file. And then once you have that video file, there's lots of places you can put it. If you're using Microsoft, you can add that directly to Teams if you want to. You can add it to a YouTube channel. You could put it in your OneDrive or your Google Drive and then provide a link to it to students if they don't have access to YouTube. If you have a learning management system, something like Canvas or Schoology, you can take that video and you can drop it right into your class so that students are able to watch it right there on that platform. If you use a tool like Seesaw, you can drop that video right into Seesaw and then students are able to watch it there. You can even take these videos and upload them to a tool like Flipgrid. Flipgrid is the video response tool that lets you ask students a question, and then they respond with a little video response. And you could take your question for Flipgrid, and you could actually create a video like this and stick it into the question so students watch it before they respond. There's lots of things that you can do with these videos once they're done. So with that in mind, I know I've been doing a lot of demo on the screen, and you've been doing a lot of probably sitting and taking this in. So let's shift that around a little bit. I would love to be able to hear from you at this point. We've got about 5 or 10 more minutes left before we wrap this up. And so I would love to hear from you about how we could use some of these videos. If you were able to record video of, through your camera, record video of yourself demonstrating something on the screen, pull in images, pull in videos, mix them together in a video editing tool like this one that we were just using. What could we do with those videos? What kind of videos could you create that would be helpful? So I'd love to see in the chat, if you're watching this live, I'd love to see you type into the chat some things that you could do. So as they come in, I'll kind of shout some of them out. So Jennifer says virtual field trip. I love that idea. So I could see where you pull in some videos and some text from a location that you want to go on a virtual field trip on, and then just display those images and videos, and then just have it kind of play all the way through, and it would very much feel like a virtual field trip. I love that. Kim said, I've had students use this for stop motion animation. Totally, yeah. And so with stop motion animation, all you do is you take a lot of pictures. You might use your, your cell phone. You could use the webcam in your device, and you just take a picture and then move something. Take a picture and then move something. Take a picture and then move something. And then if you put all of those images into the video editor like that, and just have the duration really quick, it'll go boom, 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 like that. And so that's a really easy way to do stop motion animation. I love that idea. That's great. Other things that you could do with this, I'll throw some other things in case somebody is still typing another idea. Whenever you have students create something for you that is either visual, like an image, or that's in video, you could collect all of those student creations together and stick them into a video using the video editor. So for instance, if you had students create you a whole bunch of stop motion animations like Kim said, or virtual field trips like Jennifer said, or if they're just showing how to work a certain math problem, or if they are talking about a book, and they've done that work by recording a video, you could take all of those little short student videos and put them together, or a selection of a handful of those student videos and put them together in a compilation video. So you could have a video, and on the storyboard it would have 1 student, 2 student, 3 student, 4 student, 5 student, and have a title at the beginning and maybe a closing title at the end, and you hit play and you can go watch all of those students. So that's one way to pull student work together into one place and then demonstrate. Lygia says, I used pictures and short video clips to make a movie about some projects and video cards for the school day, etc. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a really good way. See, if you have students create, students do a project, this would be a really great way for them, if they have Windows laptops, this could be a really great way for them to share their project. So they could take some image, if it was something physical, in the real world, they could take some images of it and stick them in, and you could just go through them. And then you could even have the student record a video talking about the process. See, I think that's my favorite part about a project. I can look at their project whenever they're done. That's all well and good. But I want to hear how they came up with it. I want to hear the struggles that they went through. I want to hear the lessons that they learned. And so allowing them to turn on that camera and then record what it is, record their process and add that in. This would be a really great way to put all those together. Oh, we got some more good suggestions here in the chat. Hakilina Aguilar says, end of year class yearbook. Oh yeah, absolutely. So if you've got images and videos of your students, pull all of those together in videos. That could totally work. Or you could even have your students submit them. If we've been remote for a long time and students have pictures of some of the things they've been doing while the remote learning has been happening, pull all of those together for an end of year class yearbook. I love that. Jennifer's got lots of good ideas here. This is fantastic. She says virtual open house. Yeah, absolutely. So especially at the beginning of the year, if your school starts off online, and it seems like there's so many of them that are going that route right now. I know I just heard that Los Angeles and San Diego schools are going to start the school year online. If you have your back to school open house and you're not able to do it physically, then having some videos of yourself and maybe mixing together some images, make it all into one video and put it someplace where parents and students are able to see it. That would be great. And then Hakilina also says how-to videos. Yeah, so you could do a recording of your screen, or you could do, get your camera going and just write on a whiteboard, or, you could just talk, of course, like head and shoulders straight to camera like that. That could totally work too. Lots of things that we could do with all of this. And of course, whenever it's done in the video editor, then you're able to save it as a video file and put it someplace where people are able to access it. So the video editor. Oh, Kim had one more thing. She says use those for parent, teacher, student conferences. Yeah, totally. You know, that would be a really, if you didn't want to do like a live video call, like a Zoom for that kind of thing, and you wanted to record something that parents were able to see whenever they wanted, that could be really good. Or if you had parents whose schedules didn't line up with yours, you could always record something, edit it in the video editor, and then share it with them. Those are all fantastic. So the video editor, it was part of your Windows laptop all along. You may or may not have realized that it was there, and all it takes is just typing it into that search bar, just typing in video editor to go find it, and then you can start pulling things together and edit really nicely. So that kind of wraps things up here. I hope that this has been useful to you. Again, there are lots of other sessions that are coming up in the future. So head to q.org/Microsoft. That's cue.org/Microsoft to be able to see all of those sessions by clicking on the schedule tab. I so appreciate those of you that were here live and threw in your ideas. It was great to get to interact with all of you. And if you're watching this on the replay, I'm so glad that you found it and that you were able to watch it. So take care. Thanks so much for being a part of this video, and I hope to see you on another one.